Welcome to the Further Light Podcast, presented by Wisconsin Freemasonry, helping you accomplish your Masonic goals through education and more light. And now, I present to you, Brother Chris Ludke.
Listeners, scholars, brothers, this is Brother Chris Ludke, and today I want to look at this idea of the silver cord be loose. Now, we've touched on this. We've dealt with Ecclesiastes. And I had someone reach out and want to explore a little bit more about the symbolism here. Yes, Brother Mike Burnham reached out with an AI article on the silver bowl, and it got me thinking, there's more to it. So I want to explore that a little bit further today. And I want to begin with this sort of poetic line full of mystery and meaning from the Bible, this almost riddle that we see. And as I said, I gave a brief interpretation of it before. And we may have heard it at a funeral, but we also come across it in certain materials that we see in the lessons and materials of Masonry. Or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. Of course, it comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 6. A line rich in imagery, to the point where it's been quoted, dissected, and contemplated for, well, millennia really, given when it was written. But what does it actually mean? And why does it show up quietly but powerfully in Masonic thought? Today I want to unpack some of this symbolism of this specific piece of the verse, look at its ties to Masonry, discover how a few lines of scripture can challenge us to live with purpose. Now, when we look at the verse itself, we're looking at one of the most poetic, one of the more philosophical books of the Hebrew Bible, Ecclesiastes. Traditionally, it's attributed to King Solomon. It's a book concerned with the meaning of life, the inevitability of death, and the pursuit of wisdom in what is really a fleeting world of constant change. And this verse is especially unique. It's a meditation on old age and dying, as we've talked about, using beautiful metaphor to describe the failing body and the approach of death. But verse 6 paints a vivid picture using these four images. The silver cord be loosed, the golden bowl is broken, the pitcher is broken at the fountain, the wheel is broken at the cistern. If we look at each, we can get a little more meaning. The silver cord is often seen as the thread of life, a symbolic cord that ties the soul to the body. This goes back to the ancient Greeks, this idea of a thread of life, one that if cut would end it instantaneously. We see it in Greek mythology, Hercules, for example. Its loosening marks the moment that the spirit departs the body. The golden bowl is thought to represent the vessel of consciousness, perhaps the brain or the mind, which, when broken, we see the light of life spill forth. The pitcher and the fountain and the wheel and the cistern symbolize bodily systems that sustain life, circulation, breath, vitality. When these fail, again, life ceases. Altogether, the verse is something of a poetic obituary. It's a spiritual call to reflect before the end arrives. And in Masonry, that reflection is the point. Death is not something Freemasonry shies away from. It's something that is tied into all of our lessons in various ways. In fact, Masonry embraces it, not in some macabre fascination that would be appropriate to the 19th century, but as a moral instrument. Freemasonry teaches that by confronting our morality, we become better men, more compassionate, more just, more mindful. That's why phrases like memento mori, a reminder of death, show up in Masonic symbolism. It's not about gloom, it's not about urgency, it's about purpose. So when Ecclesiastes speaks silver cord and the golden bowl, it resonates with Masons. its metaphors align closely with the lessons that we are taught, where a candidate or a person is faced with the conundrum of mortality, not morality. So when we look at mortality, it's always a reminder not so much of the gloom of death, of what's coming, so much as it is a reminder that we only have so much time and we should use that time wisely. It is easy to sit down and watch the latest series of Daredevil Reborn. It is hard to get up and do something towards our own rebirth. So let's look at some of this symbolism, dig into it a little bit further. So the silver cord, it's not just poetic, it's metaphysical. As I said, in ancient thought, the silver cord connects the body and the soul. When snapped or cut, depending on the tradition, the spirit departs. Now, Freemasonry doesn't define the soul in dogmatic terms, but it honors the divine spark within each person. The silver cord is nothing more than a reminder that life is delicate, that every breath is a gift, that this could end in any moment. For those of you who remember the old Final Destination movies, it's something we can't avoid. You miss the bus the first time, the bus doesn't miss you the second. Then comes the golden bowl. Gold, throughout ancient tradition, symbolizes purity, value, and eternity. It's the only metal that doesn't oxidize. And in this case, a bowl would have held oil for a light. And the idea of a light or a lamp representing consciousness, representing knowledge, is a very old one. It's why we oftentimes will use, heck, even Masonic education in Wisconsin uses a lamp to signify knowledge. In some interpretations, the bowl represents the mind or consciousness. When it breaks, the light goes out. This is a powerful image of death, but also a call to fill the bowl wisely while we can. I should explain, they aren't saying a lamp, they're saying a bowl, because in ancient times, especially in the Levant, in Israel, or was today Israel, their lamps, especially for the poor, would have been simple vessels, a bowl with a string in it, and you would fill it with oil. Could be olive oil, could be any number of oils. And as it wicks up the string, it burns, and you get a lamp. Very, very simple. But if you don't realize that the bowl is a lamp, it loses a lot of meaning. Next is the pitcher broken at the fountain. In Masonic symbolism, water can represent truth, life, and initiation. A pitcher at the fountain is a vessel collecting wisdom and ideas, truth. Its breaking represents the end of learning. That thing that we all reach at the end of life, where learning is at an end and we are merely trying to survive, or merely trying to end, depending on the circumstance. Some people get lucky and can learn to the end. As Ecclesiastes later says, in the grave there is no working. And this speaks to that pitcher broken at the fountain. If the pitcher's broken, it doesn't function. It can't bring water up. It can't bring in truth. It can't bring in knowledge and life. And finally, the wheel broken at the cistern. This is mechanical imagery, something that turns, draws water, sustains life. The wheel breaking is a final halt. The entire system has shut down. In total, this verse reflects the great truth behind all Masonic ritual, behind all of our lessons. That life ends, but while we live, we must build, we must learn, we must serve, we must be there for everyone else. It's easy enough to sit there and say, my job is to improve myself, but if you never let the community see that light, then what are we doing? What is our purpose, if not to serve others, if not to improve the world in which we live? These symbols also become a mirror for us. So why does Freemasonry make such a frequent use of death imagery? Because we believe in the idea that it is about potential. It is about using time wisely. we don't necessarily define the afterlife. It's about improving this life. The idea is simple. If you remember the end, you'll walk a straighter path. You'll treat others with dignity. You'll leave behind a legacy of integrity and not regret. In that sense, Ecclesiastes is a mirror for Masons. It says, look at who you are, look at what you will become, and then ask yourself, what will you do with the time you have left? Whether spoken aloud or etched silently in the heart, this question echoes. What are we going to do with the time that we have left? And Freemasonry offers the answer, not in creed, but rather in conduct. We see echoes of these ideas throughout Masonic ritual. In the old Chamber of Reflection, an idea that we've covered on the podcast, and one that we don't use today, we see a symbol-rich room used in some jurisdictions where candidates are asked to sit alone in silence, sometimes writing. There may be a skull on the table, a candle, a phrase on the wall, some form of memento mori. This is the spiritual setting of Ecclesiastes. No one explains it to you, and that's the point. You'll have to feel it, to wrestle with it, to reflect on it, because Masonry isn't about memorizing facts. It's about transformation. It's about passing through darkness to find light. Just as Ecclesiastes reminds the reader that life is slipping away, Masonry urges each to build his temple, that building not made with hands, before the tools can fall from his hands. Again, it's easy to sleep through a Sunday afternoon. It's hard to spend that time doing something to improve the world around you. So let's return to that poetic line. Or if the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken. It's more than a metaphor, it's a mirror. Whether you're a Mason or not, Ecclesiastes invites you to pause, to think, to ask, what am I doing with the time I have? Freemasonry picks up that question and places it at the heart of all of our teachings. All of our working tools work towards it. They give us lessons for this ultimate one. And at the end of the day, you can break it down into 3 parts. Live with purpose, build with care, leave the world better than you found it. Because one day, the pitcher will shatter. The wheel will stop turning, the silver cord will snap, and the only thing that endures is what you built, how you used your tools, how you used those lessons. Until next time, remember, death is certain, but so is your power to live fully, all the way until the end. Your power continues until that moment. Your power to change the world by changing your family, your community, and society overall. Thank you for joining me, Brother Chris Leakey, and the entire Further Light team on your quest to find more light through Masonry.
Are you interested in learning more about Freemasonry in Wisconsin? Visit wisconsinmasons.org to learn more about Masonry and access further educational content and more light. Once again, that address is wimasons.org. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, please email us at education@wisconsinmasons.org. And thank you for listening.